Welcome back to the hangar. There's a surprise announcement at the beginning of this video, and I hope you like this update and the struggles. Thanks for watching.
Well, I'm back in the hangar. Yeah, actually I've been back in the hangar a few times working on the Emerald, and I haven't been working on my Challenger. I haven't been posting for a while. Let me put this camera down and have a seat. Pardon the rotten camera work. My minimum wage. Oh, there we go. Like the writers that are on strike, apparently, my cameraman's on strike. And since I'm the cameraman, I'm on strike. So, what's been going on? Not a lot with the Challenger at present, other than a few things that I ordered some parts, and one of the parts I ordered was that breaker that I have in the airplane that goes between the battery and the starter motor. Okay, that breaker is on the high amperage side of the circuit, not the low amperage side. The high amperage side. Those starter motors draw a lot of power, like you saw in the previous video. So the one that I had in there was an 80 amp breaker, and I thought more than enough, but it wasn't. So I put a 200 in there because it is hitting 160, 165 amps on initial kick. And if I put a 150 in there, it could also break. And the last thing I want to do is floating on a lake trying to fart around with removing stuff out of the back seat so that I could get underneath the seat to reset that breaker. So that's non-starter, so it has to be a little over what its maximum draws. Now, one of the people that follows me along mentioned that he only has like a 15 amp breaker to his starter relay. Well, yeah, you probably do. That breaker, 15 or 20 amp breaker or fuse or what have you, is what is in line to the coil of the start relay. Those start relay coils draw between anywhere from 8 to 12 amps in that range, depending on the kind you got. So 10 amps, let's say, for average. So if you got a 15 amp fuse in there, that's for that relay that goes click, that then provides power to the start motor. That's not the fuse that's actually giving the energy to that start motor. That's just for the little contactor, the little relay to initiate that. That needs to be fused as well. But when that contactor closes, it drives out a lot of energy into that start motor to get it to turn. And that's the breaker that I've put in that virtually nobody else has, from what I can tell. And for the most part, it's probably not necessary. However, since this is on floats, things can get wet, and if they get wet, they can short out, especially if this stuff on the engine gets wet or what have you. I just figure, you know what, it's a cheap insurance. The breakers aren't expensive. They're like 35, 40 bucks or something. And what that does is that if that starter motor, for whatever, starts drawing a lot of power, instead of melting wires, which can happen, especially if you put a dead short on there, you melt wires or you damage other things, I want that breaker to pop. And I could probably go for the rest of my life without the breaker, and it'd be fine. And 99.9% of the airplanes out there probably don't have that. But I do. And you don't need it, but I want it, so I put it in there. There. Enough said. So the breaker, like I'm talking about, is on the high amperage side, not the low amperage side that initiates the relay. It's on the big side that actually goes to the starter motor. So maybe I'll draw a wiring diagram. No, I'm not going to do that. So anyways, the other thing I need to do on here, I figure I've just finished working on the Emerald, wiring up its alternator and start motor and getting that finished, so I can get the panel mounted in that airplane and we can do a run up on that. But we're done for the day on the M-Rod, so I'm going to do a little work here on my Challenger. And like I said, I just replaced the breaker, and I did that off camera. It's boring work. And then what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to mount that beacon. Remember earlier, I had people vote, should I go on the top, should I go on the bottom? And nearly everybody said put it on the top. And yeah, I agree with that, put it on the top. But I figured I'd put a vote out there and see what the responses are. So I'm going to mount that onto the fairing that goes between the two wings at the top. And so I've got the fiberglass fairings. I'm going to get that mounted and then install the fairing on the top of the aircraft to close that up. And then I'll see where I'm going to go from there as well. And plus other little cleanup things that I want to do. They'll probably just be off camera, boring stuff, you know. But the exciting part is, if you've been following me along from the very beginning, you know that I bought this airplane before I got a pilot's license. Yeah, some people do that. And I'm working on the pilot's license, and I soloed for the first time. Yeah, COVID put a 2-year delay on everything. So I soloed for the first time, not last weekend. No, it was last weekend. Yeah, last weekend. You know, basically, instead of parking the airplane, he said, pull up next to the pumps, and I pulled next to the pumps. He said, leave it running, and he got out, and he did up the seat belt, and he said, okay, you're on your own. He made a radio call to the tower, and he says, go into the circuit. So, first time out there, I went and I did it alone. Okay, great. I did not film it. I don't film it with the instructor. I'm focusing on flying. I'm not focusing on filming. However, for next weekend, I'm booked to put 1 hour in of circuits, touch and goes, that kind of stuff, on Saturday and on Sunday. And I'm going to bring you guys along. Now, I have no idea how this is going to work. I've never set up the cameras in an aircraft before. So I'm going to have one looking out forward, and I'm going to have one mounted on the window on the passenger side, the right side, looking at me. And I have a third camera that has a gimbal and it's really fancy, that kind of stuff. And the only reason I'm using it is because it has a remote microphone input, a lapel mic input, and it has a lapel mic. So I'm going to take that microphone and I'm going to fire up that camera as well. I'm going to just strap it to the seat next to me. The camera's going to kind of look forward. So you might see the instrument panel with it if I use the video from it. But I'm going to stick that microphone underneath the ear cup of my headset, so that you'll be able to hear me and you'll hear the air traffic control and everything else. And hopefully it works. Never done before. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Don't know how to edit it because my editing software is not capable of that. So I might have to change computers and learn how to edit. Ugh. So anyways, that's what's going to happen. It's not going to be posted next week because I'm flying next weekend, and then I got to edit that thing and figure out how to do that. So that's going to be, you're going to be coming along with me on my actual first real genuine solo flight, because I did the one with the instructor where he said, you're on your own, Jack. And I finished off the day flying a circuit on myself, and then came back and we parked the airplane. So this next one is me actually signing out the airplane, doing all the weight and balance and pre-flight, which I always do anyways. So, but the only difference is this time when I hop in the airplane, I'm not going to wait for the instructor to hop in the seat beside me before I open the window and yell, clear, and hit the ignition. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. So you're actually going to get a real flying video on my channel. A real flying video. Ah! Now, it's not the Challenger. It's the one of the airplanes that I fly in the flying school, and I booked the Piper Cherokee, the PA-28-140 is what I'll be flying as a Cherokee. It's a low-wing airplane, and so you'll be coming along with me with in a Cherokee, and yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Anyway, so that's enough for the introduction. Damn, by the timer there, it looks like it's over 9 minutes of intro. So okay. Good enough. I'm going to carry on doing some work, and I'm just going to let this camera roll and just catch what I'm doing here. And if I feel the need, I'll put some narration in it, or maybe some notes at the bottom. They'll scroll up or sideways or something. But yeah, this is just kind of tinkering with the Challenger now. So, the next video after this one will be me in the air in a Cherokee. So. Thanks for following along. I really do appreciate it. I love the likes and the comments, that kind of stuff, and keep them coming. And subscribe. I'm noticing now when people subscribe, it actually comes up on my feed there that says, "Oh, you got a new subscriber. You got a new subscriber." And yeah, I'm getting close to hitting 500. Okay. For those people with 2 million subscribers, 500 is like nothing. But for somebody like me doing this. Yeah, okay. I'm filming it originally to let my family know what's going on, and the secondary part was kind of to document what I was doing so I can go back on it. And I figured I'll post it on YouTube so the family can tune into it. And other people started watching it and started commenting and going, "This is actually fun. I actually enjoy filming this stuff, yakking in front of the camera." I know some of you guys don't like me yakking too much, but that's okay. And maybe putting some cartoony stuff in there. It says I'm actually having fun doing that. So yeah, whatever. It's not for the money. It's for the fun, because I'm not making any money. It's actually costing me money when you start counting up the cameras and everything else. So yeah, but like and subscribe. I love it when you guys follow along, and whether you're a pilot, plane owner, or just somebody who loves aviation, or is just curious about aviation and you don't fly at all. Hi there. Bringing you along with my journey of owning an airplane and learning how to fly it. So, pitter patter, let's get at her. There. Let's see here. Now I'm going to figure out where on here I want to mount it. How far back? I'm going to go take a look.
A few moments later.
So instead of having silence, I decided I'm going to do a little bit of narration here. I'm mounting the beacon at the front edge of the middle fairing, for those of you who own a Challenger 2. And so as you can see, I'm zipping around here, getting drill bits, that kind of stuff, and I'm just using some number 832 stainless steel nuts and bolts, and or screws, and with the nylon locking washers on the nuts. And pretty simple process, just drill some holes and screw it to it, and Bob's your uncle.
Now, one of the things I got to do, this is the fairing for the back side. It's supposed to go right back here. I've got an oil tank up there now that needs holes drilled in here so I can fill the oil and the vent hole and all the rest of that. So let's see how that works out. So I have to make 2 holes to line up with those. And not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. Let's see if I can figure it out. Rotten camera angle. Sorry. I have no idea if I'm going to do this right or if I'm going to screw it up, but let's find out. Okay, I got a little black mark here, and that's where that plastic tube is. Now all I'm going to do is make sure it's dead center, and I'm going to drill that hole, and after I drill that hole, I'm going to refit it and see how it kind of orientates, but I'm just going to measure back to drill the bigger hole for the fill portion. I think that'll work. Wish me luck. A lot of this is using the Mark I eyeball in centering these things. And hope you get it right. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it right, but, so, let's see, that's, okay, now this first hole that I've drilled, kind of here, a little flaky, that's fine. That's okay. Because that's a rubber tube, that's the vent tube, if it's a little forward or back, that's okay. But that'll allow me to get a more accurate measurement for the second hole, which is a bigger one, and that's for the fill spout for the oil. So let's go over there and get that done. Let's see if I... Okay, I'll make this a little bit larger. I made a mistake. Leave it in the comments if you can see where I made a mistake. But I made a mistake. Okay, as I was saying, I got to rivet this chain on here so that it if this ever pops off, it doesn't fly through the prop. So yeah, so I got to drill another hole and put a rivet here. Okay, let's get that done. There. I don't know if you can see that on camera. All right, so, yeah, I made a mistake. I drilled that first vent hole too far forward. But, for the save, I did need to fasten the, the stopper somehow. So I just used some fender washers. There we go. Fixed. Okay. Now I gotta go put them on the other side. Okay, see, I didn't remove these fairings, or well, I helped with the wings, but the fairings were removed by the previous owner, so obviously there is something wrong. There is, it looks like it was a rivet that was put in there. Why would they have put a rivet in there? I don't know. But that's what it looks like. I gotta fix this. Okay. As you can see, there was, it's the head of a rivet right there. And this is where there's actually two holes here. This one here looks like it had a riv nut, and this one a rivet. I think that was riveted in because this riv nut probably worked its way out. That's probably what happened. Okay, I'm pretty sure I can fix that. So, okay, let's get at her. Okay, back. Yeah, these are all using number 6 riv nuts. I put a number 8 riv nut in here to accommodate a hole. This hole was larger. Looks like the riv nut got torn out, and they put a rivet in here. So I'm going to drill this rivet out completely, and then put this back on, but I'm going to use a number 8 instead of a number 6. That should work. Gotta go get the drill. There. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Spin you around. Oh, hang on. Sorry about that. Spin you around. Turn the display on. Okay, as you can see, the screws are in, all 4 of them, and I have an opening for this. Now I'm just going to double check, make sure I have proper clearance here and that there's no interference with these. These screws don't have Loctite in them, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take silicone and I'm going to smear silicone over top of the heads and onto this fiberglass to seal that down. Same as I did for the engine here. So just a dab of silicone across here so that it doesn't come loose and fall out on all these screws. And that'll be for all of them on the fairing. They will have a dab of silicone. I'm going to see if I can find blue silicone so it kind of matches. Let's see. But now we carry on. We're going to put the next fairing on, which is going to be interesting because I'm going to have to kind of reach a lot to get to those screws there. Yeah. But before I do that, I'm going to inspect them to see whether they are stripped out or anything like that, or any surprises. So let's take a look. At least I'll take a look and I'll let you know in a minute.
2 hours later.
Okay, this is the final update, I think, for here. I got the portion of the fairing that holds the strobe on, and there it is. Now I ran into some trouble. Again, this was a used aircraft, but some of these screws, the riv nuts are stripped out, and some of them are fine. So the ones that are fine I'm going to leave. The ones that are stripped out, well, let me get off this ladder. Sorry for the rotten camera work. I'll show you how I had to do this to get at that, because you can't reach the middle of the wing. That's a long way. So I'm leaning a ladder up against the exhaust system, a little step stool, because I can't stand on the floats, it'll rock it backwards, and then onto that ladder, and then reaching for that center portion. Now I couldn't reach the front screws. That's where I had to go and stand on the longerons there and reach backwards. Anyways, yeah, so the strobe works. It's hooked up now. I didn't put the front fairing on because I need to make one more wiring connection up there, and then I also need to, oops, sorry, off camera there, and then I also need to feed the tiny tack line that's coiled up there. That needs to be fed back to the engine, and a few more connections, and clean that up. And then I put the front fairing, which has the VHF antenna on it. Now I'm going to turn the master switch on, and let's see. This is about 10 feet in front of the aircraft. And obviously you can clearly see the beacon. So on gray cloudy days, or even on clear blue sky days, my gray and blue airplane, which will disappear, I'm sure those floats might maybe look like a, well, you might spot it with the floats, you might not, but that will certainly help me be seen a lot better. So that portion is done. Okay, so what else did I get done today? Well, like I said earlier, I got the 200 amp breaker installed, and I've mounted that strobe onto the portion of the fairing. And what took the longest here, I'm looking at my time here, oh my, 2 hours. 2 hours to refit that fairing, those two pieces of fairing that go between the wings. And I'm not finished yet. So where the riv nuts were stripped out, I'm just going to drill them out for a number 6 screw right through that tube. And I'll put a number 6 screw through there and have somebody on the other side with a nylock locking nut, and we will gently tighten it down. It doesn't need to be torqued down tight, just it's holding the fiberglass fairing on. So that's what's going to happen. In order for me to put new rib nuts on there, I'd have to put some sort of scaffolding or something over top so I could work on it, or remove the wing. Neither of which is happening. So right now, nuts and bolts it is, and I will get that portion finished. So it's coming along. Didn't think I'd be doing much work here on the in the hangar on my Challenger. I really thought I would be working almost exclusively on the Emerald, and that I wouldn't have another update for you guys of what's going on. But you do now, including the update of me taking you along flying. Yeah, that can be fun. Okay. I'm going to close this off now because I'm going to pack up. I'm tired. I've been here in the hangar for a little over 6 hours, 7 hours now working, and skipped lunch. Of course, yeah, keep the comments to yourself. But yeah, I can afford to skip a lunch or two. And that's it for today. That's it for the update. I hope you got something out of this. Installing that fairing between the wings is not easy. One of the things that I learned doing this, well, first off, I did not remove the fairings, and I only helped remove the wings. So I wasn't aware that there was stripped out rib nuts and that pop rivets were used, or maybe cherry rivets. I don't know. They were probably just pop brand. Anyways, rivets were used, blind rivets were used to hold on portions of the fairings, and they were drilled out. I didn't realize that. And when I was working on the wings over a year ago, mounting the lights and everything else, had I known that, I would have drilled out and put new rib nuts in there, maybe one size larger, go to a number 8 instead of a number 6 that were in there, and I wouldn't have had this problem. But I didn't know that. So if you're going to be taking your wings off for whatever reason, do a close inspection on all those sort of things. Inspect every little rib nut, and if you're using rib nuts, or if you're using nut plates, that kind of stuff, inspect them all. Make sure that they're in good shape. So when you put the wing back on, you don't end up spending hours on something that should have only taken minutes, like I just did. Yeah. Okay, good enough. Remember to like and subscribe, and leave a comment. And thanks for following along with me here in the hangar. And so, yeah. Remember, boys and girls, always keep your stick on the ice. Bye for now.
Yeah, the struggle is real getting that fairing remounted with those stripped out rib nuts. Wow, I wish I knew they were stripped out before I started this, even before I put the wings on. Thanks for watching. See you again in the hangar. Bye.